Hello and welcome. I'm Anand Naidu, sitting in for Riz Khan. It's a country that has suffered 3 decades of armed conflict with no end in sight. Today, Afghanistan is poor, corrupt, starved for modern infrastructure. And in the meantime, the Taliban are making a comeback and slowing down the already slow reconstruction efforts. The American press reported this week that senior officials in the Bush administration now believe that Afghanistan may pose a greater long-term challenge than Iraq. But it has not received the same attention as Iraq, and the financial aid it has received has not been enough to transform this war-torn country. Today's guests are working hard to see this situation change. Natalie Cole has been active in Afghan politics since she fled Kabul after the Soviet invasion in 1979. She was involved in relief efforts that culminated in the founding of the Afghanistan World Foundation in 2002. The foundation supports the reconstruction of Afghanistan with education, health and advocacy projects. One of the most active recruits to the cause is renowned American singer and songwriter Natalie Cole, who's won 8 Grammy Awards over the years for her soulful music. Natalie also serves on the board of directors of the Afghanistan World Foundation. Sonia and Natalie join us now from New York. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Sonia, let me ask you this. Your foundation, the World Foundation, what exactly does it do?
Afghanistan World Foundation is a non-profit 501c organization that is based in Los Angeles, California, and we only do humanitarian help, education, health for Afghanistan, for the Afghan people, mainly focused on children.
And tell us about your own story, how you got to this point.
I escaped Afghanistan in 1979 after the Soviet invasion, came to America, saw destruction, what it's like your country to be taken over. While I was in Afghanistan, I came back to America and I decided to do something about my homeland. So I wrote a letter to President Reagan, and it was a very compassionate 9-page letter saying that what's happening in my country is genocide, and basically we can't sit in the West and pretend it's not happening, because when human rights are violated anywhere, is violated everywhere. And I was a teenager and very passionate, and as you know, as a teenager you believe that anything is possible and you can change the world. And so I wrote my phone numbers to the president. This is my office number and this is my home number. Please call me immediately as you receive this letter. And people laughed at me, saying, "You're crazy, that's the President of the United States. He will not call you back." I believed that he would, and he did. He met with me, and in that meeting he basically told me that one person can change the world, and he said, "You can do that." And he asked me to testify in front of the Senate regarding these mines that were in the shape of a Coca-Cola bottle or a doll that had enough exposure that a child would lose an arm and a leg, but they won't die. The strategy behind it was for the Russians to get the Mujahideen, the freedom fighters, out of the country because their children are injured. And Afghanistan was very successful during the Soviet invasion on the ground. 10 years of war, they did not get conquered, but when it came to the air, they were failing big time. So the president knew that we needed Stinger missile for Afghanistan, and he wanted me to help with the testifying about that. And that's where my journey for Afghanistan started, and for the last 20 years, that's what I've been doing, and I will do it until the last day I live. It's my passion, it's my love.
Well, let me go to Natalie Cole. Natalie, how did you get involved with the foundation?
Well, I met Sonia probably, is it 7, 8 years? 7, 8 years ago, and we became fast friends. She thinking that our last name was coincidental, and her last name is Cole too. So I thought that was very extraordinary, and I think it was in the first couple of weeks that we knew each other that Sonia started to tell me her story, her escape from Afghanistan and the things that she went through just in that as a 12-year-old girl. And I was just so moved by her story, by her passion. We cried right then. We were really hardly knowing each other. And I knew that this was an extraordinary woman who, if she believed something, you better believe that it was going to happen. And I got on board with her because of this. And I have seen some really wonderful things happen already, from a very small computer and a desk at her home, starting this idea for really to make this a little more visible, the Afghanistan World Foundation. As you know, celebrities do exactly that, and I was happy to let her exploit me to bring some kind of visibility and attention to this problem. I've never been to Afghanistan. I plan to go next year, and I just believe that this is something that is very close to her heart, and therefore it's very close to mine.
Sonia, let me ask you this. You know, as we mentioned just before we started the interview in the introduction, that the U.S. administration is under pressure now to increase troop levels in Afghanistan because of a very resurgent Taliban. We're hearing that there's more grinding poverty, corruption is rampant, and that there's very poor infrastructure. All that must combine to affect the kind of work that you're doing in Afghanistan, isn't it?
Absolutely. You're so right. And the situation in Afghanistan is probably more important today than any time for us to have presence there, not only United States but worldwide, because, you know, 2002 we were much better off than we are today, because Taliban are gaining grounds there in the south, as you know, more and more visible, and suicide bombing never existed in Afghanistan until last year. We had massive suicide bombing, which is something that is completely unacceptable for Muslims that live in Afghanistan. Suicide is completely against everything we believe in, and a lot of innocent children die in this process. And we must support Afghanistan today and in the future, so we can have some kind of stability in that part of the world, because of the geographic location, the strategic geographic location to the Persian Gulf, Indian Ocean. We cannot lose this war. It's very important that we stay.
What are some of the current projects that your foundation is involved with at the moment?
The main thing right now that we're working on is health. Health situation in Afghanistan is absolutely the worst health system anywhere in the world today. As you know, or maybe you don't know, there's 2 mines for every Afghan in my country. And these mines are all over the country, and mostly children pick up these mines, and they blow up and they lose an arm, a leg, but there is no emergency system in Afghanistan. So they can go and at least amputate the leg and save their lives. They die from bleeding. If it's not bleeding, there is no tetanus shot. They die from infections. So for me, health is the most important thing in Afghanistan, and that's the focus of the Afghanistan World Foundation. I want the world to help us in this cause, because it breaks my heart when I go to my country and I see these innocent, beautiful children dying for simple things that we can do here in the West. And
well, let me ask you. You mentioned little children there. You made a documentary. It's called The Breadwinner. It's the story of a boy in Afghanistan, an 8-year-old boy who makes a living selling newspapers and calendars. Before we go on, I just want to let's take a look at an excerpt from that documentary.
خیلی از من هیچ فکر نشده چی زیاد مانده استی؟ کجا درد میگن بچه؟
واقعا درد میگن باشه روی خودم بشین
برو یک تا باشی بگذاری روش تو که شما نمیخیزین
So in that excerpt there we saw the young boy, the 8-year-old boy, being woken up at his house, and he makes a living selling calendars and newspapers. He's the sole breadwinner of that family, hence the title of the documentary. Tell us, how did this come about? How did you meet this young boy?
It's very interesting because we were helping this hospital used to call, I work with Médecins Sans Frontières, Chaîne de l'Espoir, a chain of hope organization that is based in France, and went to Afghanistan because we were supporting that hospital. And in that, I arrived at the airport in Kabul, and on the way to the airport, I saw a little child. I saw newspapers coming up from the Jeep, and I just could see a paper and then disappear, and a paper and disappear. I looked down, I saw this little boy, and I was like, what are you doing? He was like, you buy a paper. I gave him the money. I had a $5 American, and he just gave me a smile that literally touched me and lit my life. And I became fascinated with him, and I wanted to find him. Of course, there's thousands of those boys in Afghanistan on the streets every single day, but for some reason, this boy really touched me, so I went searching for him. And to make a long story short, after 3 days, I found him finally in Chicken Street. I had a meeting. I'm coming down the stairs. The boy is right outside, and I just grabbed him and I said, I need to talk to you. I wanted to know I was curious to know why a boy this young, who's supposed to be in school, doing on the street while traffic is massive and cars are coming right and left, and any minute he could lose his life. Where is his family? And he told me that he goes to school and he goes to English classes and he sells newspaper in the morning and he sells it at night, and because he's the sole breadwinner for his family. His father was injured mentally and physically by the Soviets, and his mother takes care of the other 5 kids, which are younger than him. And so he's the man of the house. And so I thought it would be very interesting to see what will be a day in his life like. My purpose for that was for our foundation to bring a piece of film. When people ask you what's going on in Afghanistan, what's the state of affair of children, you can show something like, this is how a day in the life of a child is, and how quickly they have to become adults. And
it really gives you a great perspective.
Exactly.
This film gives such a wonderful perspective on just an ordinary day in the life of these people, and in particular this one little boy. It's one of the most extraordinary documentaries, or just a piece of film that I've ever seen, and I'm just so proud of Sonia, because she did the film work that you see. She's holding the camera, and so she was there, and then you have such admiration and respect for this boy, for this little boy, who one day we hope that we can get him here, and we're going to meet him, and he'll even be on this show. One day he's going to be able to speak on behalf of his people. I really believe that. There's a special something about this young man.
Absolutely. It's this documentary, I named it The Breadwinner, which it became the breadwinner for the foundation. Honestly, it's been in festivals, and people love this around the world.
Absolutely.
And in Washington, it's been received really well, and God knows where it's going to go. I'm definitely going to do a follow-up to this documentary every 5 years and see what happens to this boy's life.
Yeah.
And we'll certainly be watching. Natalie, you bring star power to the projects that are being undertaken by the foundation. How important do you think that is?
Oh gosh, I wish it wasn't so important, but it is. It's just the nature of the beast. When you are in a position to be highly visible, you are also in a position to be highly influential. Your credibility is at stake here, and I have been blessed to have some very strong credibility. I don't get involved in a lot of charities or public commitments like these, but this one was particularly important to me, and I knew that we would be able to bring, some attention to that with whatever I could possibly do. So we do know from people like
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, from Stevie, but Angelina Jolie, what she has done, even what Madonna did by going over and adopting, children. I mean, these things they make the news. And I just would like to, I'm so glad to be a part of something that's really positive, that I think that we can really make a change. It's not the money that we're asking to build these units and this hospital on wheels is not half as much money as, let's say, I'm involved also in raising money for ovarian cancer. Millions and millions and millions of dollars have been raised for ovarian cancer. And what we're asking for this country, for Afghanistan, is a drop in the bucket compared to what some of these charities in the United States can bring. So, we're on a mission. We're definitely on a mission.
And for the security of our United States, it's so important that we support that country so it becomes self-sufficient.
Yes.
Because that is a country we cannot ignore. It really hurts us back home. And the world can't afford that Afghanistan becomes what it was before. I think the main reason that we were thinking it's going to be okay in Afghanistan the first time around is because it was after the Cold War, and everybody thought, okay, the world is going to be fine and comfortable, and there is no more enemy. We did not know after 9/11 we found out that there is a whole other kind of enemy in the horizon.
And these people are very vulnerable.
Yes.
Which is why
yes.
they are fighting. People are the different factions are fighting over this country because they know that there is a potential there, but they want to suppress these people and basically destroy them so that they can take it over. Yeah. And we just can't afford to let that happen.
And 28 years of war. Afghanistan has been paying 20 years of war. And this country is so exhausted in every way, shape, or form. Yeah. When you go to the country, you still see hope and you see the beauty of the people. But my God, you see the exhaustion in their faces, enough already. And we really, to me, it's my country, of course. I love it and I want the whole world to help it. But it's more for the security of the world. We have to save Afghanistan.
Well,
and I don't know if you're aware.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Natalie. You were going to say something.
I was just saying, I don't know if you're aware of also that just recently Steven Spielberg and his company allowed Sonia to show The Breadwinner at a screening of The Kite Runner, which is the new film that's coming out any day now, which is also a film that's filmed all in Afghanistan with an all-Afghanistan cast before the Russian Revolution, before when it was a wonderful country that was blooming and great things were happening and the people were happy and stable. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film. But we also felt there was no coincidence that this film should be coming out now when we're trying to do what we're doing. So we were very excited about that as well.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, don't forget, if you have any thoughts about pressing issues around the world, send your emails to riz@aljazeera.net. See you next time. Street Talk is next.